So good evening, everybody. I went to Stanley's famous hamburgers in Center Fall, Rhode Island. And definitely Rhode Island is like my favorite state. And also too, this is another thing that I really enjoy about Rhode Island is that they have really great food. And this is my first time I've been to Stanley's, and this is definitely of my top 10 burgers and a place that I want to go back to over and over. Like anytime I go to Rhode Island, I want to go to Onlyville Hot Dogs, and I also want to go to Stanley's. So before I do my review of Stanley's, I want to talk a little bit about, the history of Stanley's. So I do want to mention that, back during the 1930s and 40s, there were a lot of burger shops around America, and ground beef and onions were definitely, very, very cheap food. I have my handy dandy notebook. The other thing about onions, and I didn't know this, that when you cook onions, a lot of the nutrients and the vitamins that that are cooked stay within the onion. So obviously when people were eating like onion burgers or burgers with lots of onions in them, honestly they were getting their nutrients. It was one of the reasons why people love sandwiches, or they love like Supreme Pizza back then, is that way they could put all the vegetables on it and some meat on it and then just be happy. The other thing too is that Rhode Island is a very big melting pot. So what happened was that a lot of European dishes would have onions in it. So a lot of people felt like a little bit of nostalgia having, onion burgers. And then the last thing was that obviously there was the Dust Bowl that happened in the 1930s. Like it didn't affect Rhode Island, but onions were definitely very, very abundant. Onions did feed America at one point because obviously they grow underground. They adapt to a lot of different environments. When you cook them, obviously onions and their nutrients survive really. They're a very versatile food. Like while people starved during the Depression, one thing that was abundant was onions. As far as the restaurant goes, that the Stanley Burger and the Double Stanley Burger is recommended by George Mott's. I called the restaurant and they said that the other thing that they recommend is hot dogs, turkey clubs, chili, lemonade, and chicken wings. And then again, if you come on Friday, they also have a bunch of seafood dishes like fish and chips, lobster and salad rolls, clam cakes, and chowder. When I got to the restaurant, I was greeted with really great customer service. I decided to order the double Stanley burger because I was very, very hungry. It was 2 beef patties, cheese, lettuce, and grilled onions on it. When I bit into the burger, it was really, really hot temperature, and it makes the burger very savory. And I also got like a nice, onion aroma with that as well. And then also the cheese was really, really excellent. It just really melted on, very savory. And then I also really enjoyed the pickles. And I will also confess to you guys, I do not like onions and I do not like pickles on my burger, but it does say something when I can have that on a burger and actually say it's one of the best burgers I ever had. I would say that quite honestly, when it comes to this double Stanley burger, it's definitely in my top 10 of best burger places. Like honestly, Dino's in Nashville is my number 1. I would say Dyer's in Memphis is also like in my top 5. And I went to a place in Chicago that was past the south side of Chicago, and I had a really excellent grilled onion burger there as well. But definitely whenever in Rhode Island, I have to come here. One thing that was bad about tonight was that I ordered chili and they never brought chili to my table. I do understand that, they were super busy, but that's unacceptable because honestly, I got charged $8 for something I never had. The other thing too is that I appreciate the lemonade that they had there. And I also am proud of myself because I really love my sugar. I would have gotten a soda, but the lemonade is homemade. And then also with the lemonade, it was very sour. which you get from regular lemonade, but it wasn't like syrupy or super sugary. So that was also a plus. The other thing that I really appreciate about tonight was that I ended it with coffee ice cream. And one of the reasons why I got coffee ice cream is because coffee milk is a big thing in Rhode Island. So when I had the coffee milk, no, when I had the coffee ice cream, it was really good. It had a very strong coffee taste to it. And it was slightly sugary and it was definitely very cold. Obviously, when we have ice cream, sometimes I've tasted ice creams that feel like, that have a very saturated flavor. Like you have like a Friendly's, sherbet or something like that, and you eat it, you're like, okay, this tastes like too processed, or it tastes like it tastes more sour than it needs to be. Here, I feel like the coffee flavor was very rich, but it wasn't like not too little, not too much. And then overall, for everything that I spent, even though I was charged for chili and I didn't get chili, it came around $31. And I got my head shaved next door because I had a George Jefferson thing going on, and obviously, I hate my hair, and that's not a mean thing to say. Sometimes we know what looks good on us. That's why I like these 1970s, macho man wannabe shirts. But I really enjoyed myself. I had a really, really great time. Very nice people, and definitely I have to make sure that I'm there on a Friday because I want to try out their dishes, their seafood dishes as well. They have fish and chips, lobster rolls, clam cakes, and chowder. So I'm very, very happy with everything, and I totally recommend Stanley's. And it was well worth my investment. Even though it was a little far from Connecticut.